another thing that's tennis require a good physical health
Yeah,
to
it's
help play.
perfect.
Yes,
Yeah,
but it's more easy to play, and it's not
yeah,
require a lot of skill when a new player income and or practice to play. That means a
of
lot of
course.
women, yeah, a lot of women play pickleball, and yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
they find
see,
it easy. Yeah,
yeah, because I make the game. I know that people in the world become
yeah,
easier.
yeah, of
Yeah,
course. Yeah,
lazier,
exactly.
become
Yeah,
lazier than in the
of
past.
course. Of course,
In the
I do
game,
agree.
it
Yeah.
easier. Yeah,
Yeah, of
maybe
course. So
they
of course it doesn't, yeah, require as much as energy that you need when playing tennis.
yeah,
Of course, you're right. I remember the
yeah,
time that I started playing tennis. I
yes,
remember that time, and it was like, oh, I'm getting old. I can't. I like, yeah, it's
yeah,
really, but it's perfect sport. So I think that I've been playing tennis for now it's many years. Okay, but it's
yeah,
perfect. So I think it's
yeah,
really good for health for your body, but of course it requires high energy. So it's like, just
yeah,
you need to move, you need to use your hands. So, but that's perfect. And I do agree with you. The reason that why people say that, okay, so pickleball better here, just you don't need to move a
yeah.
lot. So I think it's better.
Everyone
Yeah.
can
What?
play. Everyone can play pickleball. So in Hanoi, in my city, pickleball is outdoor or indoor game, right? So
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
required in a small table. I don't know what exactly, but you mean build pickleball play it require a lot of square, right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
it's easy to build, yeah, really easy. I see a lot of residents who have a small land, so they can build a pickleball for rent, yeah.
Yeah, of course. So it's like, so especially if you're a beginner, if you are, for example, I don't know, so professional, so everyone can, I think, can play it. So as you said, there is no, I don't know, like maybe expensive, and of course, there are not a lot of facilities. So it's better, of course, you don't need. So you have a pickable court, so you can play it everywhere. So just you need a net, and you need I don't know, a court, and that's it. So just that for if you mean, I think you wanted to say because there is no table here, so you want
Yeah,
you want to say court,
yeah,
court.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, got it. Well, so how about you? Tell me, are there any sports that you're into and you play? So your
uh
favorite?
Sorry, I used to love to play football and
Oh,
play billiard, billiard, yeah,
yeah.
uh, and I have play tennis, but I face injury, so I hurt in elbow, so I stopped play tennis.
Yeah, of
So
course.
right, I just only walking,
Yeah,
running, or sometimes I swimming. Yeah,
yeah, of course, of course. So you in pool. So, yeah, this is really popular in the
yeah.
US. Yeah, of course. So we say
Oh,
pool. Okay, yeah,
yeah,
a type of it that is common type of it. We say, let me type it here. Somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah, of course, this one. Yeah.
yeah. Pool. Yeah,
Yeah, of course, of course. And
pool.
that is really common. I think and most of people is really popular, and most of people in my country and I think other countries are into playing. So
Yeah.
of course, I'm not the one for it. So it's like,
Uh,
I do not,
but
I
I think
can't. I need more
yeah,
action. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I think
Uh,
I love enjoy the pool party.
yeah. You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really that's really good. Well, so now
So
I remember that.
uh,
Yeah.
if 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 your student if your student is still in university, that means she or he is a student. I think maybe badminton very famous for us, very
No,
popular.
they're actually, no, they're ladies, women, but actually they're
Uh,
working women. So, and yeah, of course,
yeah,
in the morning, especially before going to work, yeah, yeah, when we talk. And actually, I really admire, that is perfect.
yeah,
I really admire, I talked to, so normally, just like me and you, just, we are talking now. So we normally talk about some general topic with my students, especially so since most of them are adults, so it's the good time to talk, and they share something with me, and I really admire women and ladies in your country. So that is really perfect. Wake up
yeah,
early morning and then play sport. So whatever it is, like just
yeah,
going and playing badminton for a walk. So that is really good. And then going to work. I think it's
yeah,
perfect. Yeah,
yeah.
it's really a good habit.
Yeah, it's my I think I would like to build my habits look like that, but for now it is a little bit hard because I have take time for my children, so they
I know.
I don't, yeah. I don't go
Yeah, I
to
know.
I go to bed early, so that means it hard to wake up early.
Yeah, of course, I know. So, I have, of course, different. Of course, I want to do the same. So it's like every morning I'm like, if I could go out, if I could walk, but I can't because,
Yeah,
I need to wake up really early, just, 4, or I don't know, maybe, I don't know, for example, sometimes 3:30 or 4 a.m. to actually to work. And I'm like, no, I can't. I need to rest. So actually
yeah,
depends on, but it's perfect. That is
yeah,
really good. So yeah, unfortunately, for example, at our, my age, so when we are getting older, step by step, so
yeah,
we
yeah,
need, yeah, to be more active. But of course, if we have time, it's real. So that was my resolution. So I was like, no, this year I will practice more. I will go out more. Not yet, maybe
you
later.
do you feel hard when you wake up every
No,
morning? No?
no, I
Yeah.
am
Oh,
definitely early bird and morning person.
uh-huh.
I love morning. Yeah, of course, I love
Yeah,
morning.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really happy in the morning. Yeah.
Me
No,
too.
I love it.
I
Yeah.
I used to go to bed late, so
Yeah.
I find it hard to wake up early morning.
Of
But
course. Of course.
after a long time I plan, so I try to wake up early. So when I do it, I feel
Yeah.
it's a meaning. I start a day very powerful and very, yeah.
Yeah,
I
of course.
forgot.
Energetic. Yeah, energetic. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
That is
Mhm.
perfect. Yeah. I like this time,
Yeah,
especially a really early morning, like, when most of people, just, they are sleeping and you are awake and
yeah,
you can see the sunrise. For example, one of my favorite things
yeah,
to
yeah.
actually see the sunrise. So I normally just, I finish my classes and then I'm going to go to watch the
Yeah,
sunrise. And I don't know, it makes me feel really happy and
yeah,
energetic during the
yeah,
day. So I think it's really good habit. I have this good habit. I'm really, really early bird. Like sometimes like I don't sleep.
yeah. That,
Yeah, thank you. Okay, it was really good topic to talk about. Let's see if you agree. We can move on to our topic. Let's see what we have. Okay, so of course, the rest of our listening, I remember that we couldn't finish the spirit, right? I
no,
think we
yeah,
did.
we stop at 5.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
so
So
what
I
you
think,
are
yeah. Yeah, of course. And I think we need to listen again from the beginning to actually fill in the blanks. Okay, so let me 6.2. Just one moment. Okay. S-
6.2.
Today, I'd like to establish where we think we can cut costs. We can discuss actual figures when we've considered what's possible. Jens, could you start us off, please?
Yes, well, if we look at the facts, we'll see that our costs for personnel are very high.
Yes, but we've discussed layoffs before. Hang on, let's hear what Jens has to say about personnel before we reject the topic.
You're right, Anna. But I'm not talking about reducing the number of employees. Look at the overtime figures. They are here in black and white, and they're costing us a lot of money. The fact is, we need to keep these to a minimum to save money.
Matt, what's your position on this?
What Jens says is right. The thing is, we need to look at why we have so much overtime and if it's realistic to try to reduce it.
If we do reduce it, it'll mean dramatic savings. We could set up a program.
That all sounds pretty positive. Let's look into it at a country level and discuss it again at our next meeting. Can we move on to office resources? Anna, this was your point. Could you give us some detail, please?
Yes, what I mean is paper, office supplies, that sort of thing. I think if we look closely at what we actually use, we'll find there's a lot of waste. A classic example is printing emails out on expensive copy paper.
So what you're getting at is monitoring the office supplies and making sure we're not using too many or wasting too much.
Exactly.
I'm not convinced.
I'm not convinced.
Convinced. Of course, I'm not convinced. Very good.
As far as I'm concerned, we'd make hardly any savings compared to the...
As far as
I concern.
I'm concerned, of course,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
the personnel costs.
The drawback is it's quite labor intensive to keep a check on this. But it could be a project for one of our work experience students.
Yes, we're actually in a position.
I
But
don't want to
it
spend
could-
too long on this point.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's
We should set up the project map.
Oh, yeah, I'm listening to you.
yeah.
We have the rest of it.
Yeah. So that's the seven. As far as I'm concerned, right?
Of course, yes, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. But in the second, yeah. Yeah, I have listened, but right now I didn't remember that was.
Yeah, this one, this one, 8.
Yeah.
Okay, so still, just wait for it. So,
Yeah.
listen.
Mentioned with the student
listen.
and see how it goes. There are plenty of other areas we could consider. Let's turn to the next item, customer expenditure.
If you ask me, we should look carefully at client travel expenses and entertainment costs.
Absolutely. We spend far too much money on clients. The expense accounts aren't taken seriously enough. That's my view.
Anna, you've been very quiet.
Yes, I was just doing some calculations. Matt is right, but I think it would be crazy to cut expense accounts.
Matt is
It's right.
right, but I think
I think it could be.
it would be crazy.
Mm.
Yeah, it would be crazy, of course, to cut expenses accounts. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well.
Yeah.
So we fill in blanks, and now we have, some actually phrases, okay? Let's see which phrases, okay, could, were used, okay, as synonym for this definition. Like, for example, set the agenda for the discussion. For example, so which one can be, okay, you can listen again and find some phrases. For example, if you want to set the agenda for discussion, what phrase do you use? So let's listen. Okay, of course, we have audio script, but I don't want to use it. I would prefer to listen and find. This one is better. So actually it helps to improve, your listening skills. So let's listen. We will do it again, one by one. Some phrases. Okay, let's see.
My opinion, we should introduce tighter guidelines.
Good. We seem to be getting somewhere.
That's
6.2.
Today, I'd like to establish where we think we can cut costs.
okay. To set the agenda for discussion, she said,
Big tablet.
today,
Big tablet.
of course,
Yeah.
I'd like to establish. It means establish means set. So, but like to establish. The second one, okay, manage turn taking. So let's see.
Yeah.
We can discuss actual figures when we've considered what's possible. Jens, could you start us off, please?
Yes, well, if
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Of course.
Oh, I don't know the meaning of turn taking. What does it
For
mean?
example, it's like we are discussing something. I say, for example, I want you to start. Then another person. It means one by one. Okay, we involve in discussion. So it's like, I ask you, okay, for example, you start, please. Then, for example, okay, the next person. This is the meaning of turn taking. Okay. Now, for example, we just heard the first person listen.
We can discuss actual figures when we've considered what's possible. Jens, could you start us off, please?
Yes, well.
Jens, okay, what did she say? Could you start? Yeah? Could you start us off?
Yeah.
So, could you start us? Okay. Off. This is the first one. Okay. So this is the first one, the phrase that you can take turn.
Yeah.
Okay. And I ask you to do this. Okay. So this is the first one. And the next one, let's see if we have any other or no.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just let me say something. When we say start us off, it means to begin. So I want to give you a simple synonym that is begin. Could you please begin? Could you start, please? Okay. For example, I say, let me start this off by, I don't know, introducing today's topic. Start us off means to begin. Okay. Yen, could you start us off? It means Yen, could you begin? Could you start, please? So that is begin.
Yeah.
And
start
yeah, of course. Start us off. This is a phrasal verb, okay? This is a phrasal. Start us off means to begin something and how to use it. For example, say, okay, let me start us off by introducing myself. Let me start us off by introducing today's topic. It means let me begin. So everyone can use it just because of actually here we have us. You're like, okay, us, what is it, how to use it. This is a 3-word phrasal verb and you can use it this way to begin something, especially when it's activity. We use it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the next one.
If we look at the facts, we'll see that our costs for personnel are very high.
Yes, but we've discussed layoffs before.
Hang on. Let's hear what Jens has to say about personnel.
Oh, hang on. Let's hear what's Yen's answer. So, yeah. So she said, let me write it here. I have no place to write. So, hang on. It means wait. We have another person. Let's hear what Jens has to say about. Another, okay. Or let's listen to, for example, and let's listen, for example, to Monica. So it's like, we have different people, and of course they can step by step, one by one, they can take turn and they can talk. Okay. Now let's see, and we have the next one. Oh, invite people to express their opinion. So we have the next one. Let's see.
Before we reject the topic.
You're right, Anna. But I'm not talking about reducing the number of employees. Look at the overtime figures. They're here in black and white, and they're costing us a lot of money. The fact is, we need to keep these to a minimum to save money.
Matt, what's your position on this?
Oh, I ask you. I'm asking, what is your opinion? I invite you. What did you hear? Do you remember?
Yeah, but a little bit hard to matching with
give you
the faces.
What's your position on this? It means, what is your opinion? I ask you to express your opinion, to state your opinion. I say, for example, so what's your position on this? On this issue, on this matter, on this topic, and you can state your opinion. So what's your position on this? I give you the answers, then we will listen again, and you can match, try to hear these phrases. Okay, let's see.
What Jens says is right. The thing is, we need to look at why we have so much overtime, and if it's realistic to try to reduce it.
If we do reduce it, it'll mean dramatic savings. We could set up a program.
That all sounds pretty positive. Let's look into it at a country level and discuss it again at our next meeting. Can we move on to office resources?
Can we move on? Can we move on to office resources? So when you want to move on to a different topic, you can use this phrase. So for number 4, can we move on to anything? So another topic. Okay, can we? And
this was your point. Could you give us some detail, please?
Yes, what I mean is paper, office supplies, that sort of thing. I think if we look closely at what we actually use, we'll find there's a lot of waste. A classic example is printing emails out on expensive copy paper.
So what you're getting at is monitoring the office supplies and making sure we're not using too many or wasting too much.
Exactly.
I'm not convinced. As far as I'm concerned, we'd make hardly any savings compared to the personnel costs.
The drawback is it's quite labor-intensive to keep a check on this. But it could be a project for one of our work experience students.
Yes, we're actually in a position.
Yeah, I didn't
I
get.
don't want to spend too long on this.
Okay, just listen. I will give you, actually now I'm typing the answers here, then we will listen and you will get, I'm trying to give you some phrases and I will explain.
Point. We should set up the...
Okay, let's turn to the next point. Listen.
Yeah.
Experienced students.
Yes, we're actually in a position.
I don't want to spend too long on this point. We should
I don't want to spend too long. It means I want to manage the time. So I don't want to spend too long on this point. That is, I want to manage. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I want to manage the timing. 5 and
the project Matt mentioned with the student and see how it goes. There are plenty of other areas we could consider. Let's turn to the next item. Customer expenditure.
Let's turn to the here again. We want to move. So let's turn to the next item. It means let's move on to the next. So again, you can consider it for number 4. Move on to a different topic.
If you ask me, we should look carefully at client travel expenses and entertainment costs.
Absolutely. We spend far too much money on clients. The expense accounts aren't taken seriously enough. That's my view.
Anna, you've been very quiet.
Yes, I was just doing some calculations. Matt is right, but I think it would be crazy to cut expense accounts. In my opinion, we should introduce tighter guidelines.
Good. We seem to be getting somewhere. Let's draw up some action points on what we've discussed so far.
Oh, let's draw up some action. So let's draw some actions. On what we've discussed so far. So what is that? Look at the last one. Monitor action points. So let's see what we discussed, okay? The meaning of drop, that is phrasal verb, okay? So let's make a plan. Yeah, let's agree, let's talk. Okay, so this is, let's drop, okay?
Yeah.
And now you have some phrases here that actually they use to set the agenda, to manage turn taking, to invite people to express their opinions. Now, I want to play it again. Just try to get these phrases, okay? Just focus on these phrases. So you can see them here. And again, wow.
Today, I'd like to establish where we think we can cut costs. We can discuss actual figures when we've considered what's possible. Jens, could you start us off, please?
Yes, well, if we look at the facts, we'll...
Could you hear now? Jens, could you start us off, please? Could you hear this one?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
see that our costs for personnel are very high.
Yes, but we've discussed layoffs before.
Hang on, let's hear what Jens has to say about personnel before we reject the topic.
You're right, Anna. But I'm
Hang
not...
on, let's hear what Jens has to say about before we reject the topic. Let's hear what Jens has to say.
not talking about reducing the number of employees. Look at the overtime figures. They're here in black and white, and they're costing us a lot of money. The fact is, we need to keep these to a minimum to save money.
Matt, what's your position on this?
What Jens says is right. The thing is, we need to look at why we have so much overtime and if it's realistic to try to reduce it.
If we do reduce it, it'll mean dramatic savings. We could set up a program.
That all sounds pretty positive. Let's look into it at a country level and discuss it again at our next meeting. Can we move on to office resources? Anna, this was your point. Could you give us some detail, please?
Yes, what I mean is paper, office supplies, that sort of thing. I think if we look closely at what we actually use, we'll find there's a lot of waste. A classic example is printing emails out on expensive copy paper.
So what you're getting at is monitoring the office supplies and making sure we're not using too many or wasting too much.
Exactly.
I'm not convinced. As far as I'm concerned, we'd make hardly any savings compared to the personnel costs.
The drawback is it's quite labor-intensive to keep a check on this. But it could be a project for one of our work experience students.
Yes, we're actually in a position.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend too long on this point. We should set up the project Matt mentioned with the
I
student
don't want to actually spend too long on this point.
and see how it goes. There are plenty of other areas we could consider. Let's turn to the next item. Customer expenditure.
If you ask me, we should look carefully at client travel expenses and entertainment costs.
Absolutely. We spend far too much money on clients. The expense accounts aren't taken seriously enough. That's my view.
Anna, you've been very quiet.
Yes, I was just doing some calculations. Matt is right, but I think it would be crazy to cut expense accounts. In my opinion, we should introduce tighter guidelines.
Good. We seem to be getting somewhere. Let's draw up some action points on what we've discussed so far.
Yeah, okay, well, and this is, okay, so here we have some phrases. The reason that why we have this actually exercise here is to listen and try to use them. So the next time, if you want to, for example, you are in a meeting and you're talking to people, you want to move, you want to invite, you want to state your opinion. So there are some samples that you can use. Of course, you can make them really easy. So it's not something that, okay, I have to. No, there are different phrases, maybe easier, simpler. So you can make it your own with your own words, actually. So how to say it, that is really important. But, you know, just try to use them. And here, yeah, we talked about getting at. What are you getting at? What are you saying? Yeah, let's see what you're getting at. Let's see what you're saying. Okay, so we talked about this one. And now, well, so let's see. Let's talk about this. Yeah, we listened to this audio. It was related to, I don't know, an issue. And of course, they discussed, you know, some different points. Okay. And now let's see. You're going, if you want to continue meeting, okay. Let's see, look at this agenda item and decide on your opinion of each suggestion. So let's see if you agree, if you don't agree. So reduce staff benefits or activities. So what do you think about? Is it okay? You say, no, it's crazy to do this. So which one?
Oh, can you say it again?
Of course, there's some, as you can see, it's like we have benefits and activities, okay?
Yeah.
And they're going to reduce staff benefits or activities. Actually, there are some options that we have here. Which one is okay? Which one is not okay, in your opinion? So the first one, what do you think?
I think it's maybe they may face problem because when they reduce subsidize, that means they set costs for the company, but that means staff they have to spend cost for some activity.
Yeah,
So
of course.
I think it may impact negative impact onto staff.
Yeah, so just this one is subsidy, just C, like C. It's like subsidies and staff cap. Yeah, I do agree with you. A subsidy, of course. And just let me say before we keep going, I heard, I do agree. We do waste. So you know the use of do, right? In affirmative sentence. So you know why we use do before.
Yeah,
Definitely,
emphasize.
yes, definitely. Yeah. And we use it a lot. We use it a lot, so it's good to know this. Okay, what about number 2? So what do you think? Cancel annual staff away day?
I think it's okay. So no,
It's okay. Is
I
it okay?
yeah, in my viewpoint or in my culture, if the company they face a very big problem in financial, so if the company they can explain to every staff, I think they may understand and do agree. But
Yeah, of course.
yeah,
So
because I think they have to know the situation clearly. So yeah, and in other way, I think because it's a way they mean it's vacation, right? Look like
yeah, it's like, you know, yeah.
Or maybe or
Actually, it depends.
Yeah.
So actually, it depends. As you said, here is working culture is really important. Why? For example, for example, in my country, how many days off we have, that is really important. Maybe it's not, you know, it's too many. So, okay, if we cancel just these days, it's like, you know, okay, it's not fair. Yeah, if you have, maybe that is, I think it definitely depends on the working culture, business culture in every country. So for example, in my country, you know, if you know, we don't have a lot of off days. No, even for New Year, even for Christmas, we don't have a lot of official holidays. So it's, you know, when you reduce and cut that one, it's like, okay, just this. So it's a little maybe can be or can't be. Depend on. Yeah. For example, for New Year, you have, I think, about 14 days, right? For your New Year, you have about 14 days. Yeah? So if you reduce it, it's okay. It's 14 days. That's really good. So you can.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah, of course.
Away day, that mean off day. Off day. That means
away, of course. So it's like, you know, away day. Away means, you know, the day that you spend outside. Usually the work, outside the work. Usually, for example, I mean like this, okay, or home environment. So it's not only about work, okay? So you can relax. Here you may relax. I don't know, some team building activities like this. Yes.
Yeah, I think it depend on culture, and it had to depend on what day. For example, in Vietnam, Lunar New Year very important holiday because everyone they come back to their hometown to meet their family. So I think it's really a big problem if if we can cut it. Yeah.
Of course, so it depends. As I told you, maybe it's acceptable, maybe it's not. So people don't accept, like, no. For example, if you want to say about the official, like federal holiday for our New Year is New Year Day, New Year's Day in my country. So, okay, so we can't, you know, cut it. It's not possible. This is only one day, so one official day. So it's, it's like, not possible. And the next one, restrict Christmas events to staff only. Limit this, just, you know, to staff only.
I think it's the same. Depend on the
situation,
culture.
Exactly the same, And this one,
I can work on that time, but I think in the north, in the Western American, it's very hard, and I think no one accept.
Of course it depends. Of course it depends on the culture. For example, so it's like if you, so it depends, like, you know, if this event is really important. When we say Christmas event, okay, if it's important event in your country or another country, so but introduce a PIN number for photocopying and limit number of copies per person.
I think it's okay.
It's
quite hard, but it's okay.
Of course we can. I agree with me.
Company can calculate and or predict how many paper.
Of course, in order to avoid wasting. That is really important. Wasting paper, of course. Definitely, yes. Well, and now let's see. We did this word. Okay. Oh, this one is good actually. Number 6, what do you think? For example, I want to ask you about your position, your company, your position. So we have number 6. Look. So you are at a departmental meeting, and of course you have the budget. So how much? Okay, whatever. So it's not important. You want to decide how to spend. For example, in your position, department that you work, okay, I want to ask you, if you have, for example, maybe a good budget, like, you know, I don't know, amount of money left left. Okay, and now you have it. You can decide how to use it. Tell me about the first thing, your first suggestion. How do you spend it?
How to spend, right? How to spend.
For example, yeah, of course. For example, now you have an extra, I don't know, maybe $100,000. Okay, like this. And you want to decide how to. Tell me about the most important area. I mean, your company, your job, okay? The most important area that you need to spend this money on. And I want to ask you, what is it and how do you spend it?
Yeah, I didn't met this situation because I don't have $100,000.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was perfect. Yeah.
But I think yeah, quick answer that if I have.
If I had, this is not real. If I had, I would.
Yeah, if I had more resources, I think the first thing I see, I can spend. I think invest for learning for staff. I think they may have a program to learning something new and support them to elevate elevate their skill.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, and after that I think can use for do some R&D project to research and development a new project to research something new.
Yeah, of course.
And spending for vacation of our employees, maybe.
Yeah, that is really good. Thank you, Dad. You can be really good, boss. That was really good. Of course, vacation for staff. That was really good.
Because suddenly I have $100,000. I think it should be invest for the people.
Of course, and yeah. First of all, don't forget. Definitely use would. So don't say I can. Definitely say I would. I would invest in. I would spend. I would give. So that is really important. This is not real situation. So we should use second conditional. I would. If I had, I would do that. And yeah, of course, I do agree, definitely agree. How do you have this money? This is actually now the end of your working year, and you see that, okay, we have, I don't know, 100,000 left. Why? Because your staff worked perfectly. So you could do this. Now you have this extra budget. If they wasted, if they spent a lot, if they didn't care, you wouldn't have this money. So that is a good idea. So this is a win-win situation.
Yeah, yes.
That is you motivate your staff, they work better. So they see that, okay, you appreciate what they did. So that is good. I do agree with you.
Yes.
Well, okay, and let's see. We have 5 short conversations. Okay, during the break. Okay, we have a break in meeting. And what is the meeting? During the break in long meeting, there's often time for small talk. Yeah, of course. What kind of topics might you discuss with your colleagues? Think of 3 questions you might ask. Okay, let's see. The first speaker asked about the other person's plans. In which conversation is the second speaker certain about plans, certain about plans, but unhappy with them, certain about having no plans, fairly or uncertain about plans? Okay, let's see. 6.3.
6.3. 1.
What have you got on this weekend, Alex?
Well, I'm supposed to be helping a friend move house.
Oh, poor you.
2. What are you up to
Oh,
tonight?
just let's decide about the first one. Okay,
Moving.
just which one? A, B, C, D. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Listen again. Listen again. We do this one by one. Okay, just match which phrase. Okay, is related to A, B, C, D, E, or F. Okay.
6.3. 1.
What have you got on this weekend, Alex?
Well, I'm supposed to be helping a friend move house.
Oh.
Okay. Well, I'm supposed to help someone.
A, certain about plans.
Certain, but I felt like he was not happy. He was like, you know, like, yeah, of course. He was certain, yeah, of course, I think. So he's certain, but not happy. Yeah.
Poor you.
Poor you, like, poor
2.
you.
What are you up to tonight?
We'll probably catch a movie.
Sounds good.
So we probably catch a movie. Number 2. Probably.
Yeah. So I think so fairly certain about plan.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she's, you know, we probably, yeah, she was fairly certain about plans. Yeah, fairly, not completely. Yeah.
3.
Are you taking any time off in the summer?
It depends on my colleagues and their vacations.
I see.
It depends on my
E.
colleagues and
E.
E, of course, definitely, yes, E.
4.
What are you doing this weekend?
We're off to Paris.
Lucky you.
We're off to Paris,
A.
of course.
5.
Anything nice planned for the weekend?
Nothing special. What about you?
So,
No plan. Yeah. C.
yeah, yeah, of course. They want to do something, but they're not sure what it is. Maybe they make some plans later. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Now listen again for each conversation. Okay, let's see. Ask about
Yeah,
plans.
so-
What phrase? Yeah,
But could we stop early? 5
definitely
minutes?
yes. Of course, of course.
Yeah,
Why
because I have
not? So,
another meeting right now. Yeah.
of course, yes. Okay. Good luck with your meeting, and have a
Yeah.
great day. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Let's go.
See you on-
You're
see you on-
welcome.
Yeah.
Of course. See you. Goodbye.
Yeah.